Good morning and welcome. Good to have so many of you tuning in already. Not due to kick off till 11 o'clock. So we'll just give it a couple of minutes. I'm just lining up the laptop here beside me so I can catch all the questions coming in. Yeah. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So. Hope you're all keeping well out there. Despite all this lockdown stuff going on at the moment. I'm setting up here, so hope you're all keeping well out. That's the echo. Get rid of that. Freddie, thanks so much for that. Yeah, that's the manager of the Cork Mind Body Experience show. Yeah, so we're virtual this year. And hello to all my friends in Cork. Hope you're all keeping well down there. It's a bright, fresh, sunny-ish day here in Dublin. Hope it's the same where you are. And look forward to presenting you with a little talk on dream weaving this morning. And don't forget, I'm on again later on today. I'll be doing a talk at 2:30 on National Ancestral Family Healing Day, about intergenerational healing and how it affects all of us in the island here of Ireland. And then of course this evening at 7 o'clock we've got a workshop, Healing Through the Chakras. And that's going to be an interesting healing journey. And of course I'm on again tomorrow, 12:30. I'm talking about Bridget's Celtic flame. And I'll be introducing you to the concept of the flame of Bridget and the illumination process that goes with that. And then tomorrow at 3 I'll be talking about the Chalk Ollas. That's the sweat house, the Celtic sweat house, and the connection with the Unique Sweat Lodge in America, in the Native American First Nations people of America's cleansing ceremony. And then tomorrow night at 7, Journey of the Drum, Shamanic Healing Journey. And then at 8:30 we've got the full moon. Yeah, Hands Around Mother Earth Water healing ceremony that we've been doing for many, many years, live online. Long before lockdown started, I was doing this live every month with the full moon. So look forward to you joining in with me over the next 2 days and taking part in all that I have to offer. And there's a lot of other great stuff on this show as well, so do check it all out. Moving on. Karen Shears says, good morning, I can already feel the energies of full moon operating. Yes, indeed. Last month was quite intense, and this one seems to be just as strong. And the fact that we're more contained in ourselves and sitting at home and spending time in nature with our walks and stuff, we're beginning to take notice of these things. A lot of people have become bird watchers, watching nature and stuff. So it's interesting the way we've all been affected by this. And so, you know, there are some positives to come out of all of this, and that's the best way to look at it, isn't it? Okay. So we'll give another minute or so, and then we'll begin talking about dreams. And everybody dreams. Everybody. Some people say, I don't dream, I don't recall them, but we do, we all dream. And then we're going to explain to you why the dreams are there and how we can work with dreams as a very powerful healing tool for ourselves. Yeah, so just coming up to 11 now. Give it another minute or two, a few more people will be tuning in. And while I'm sitting here waiting, I'll just give you a little reminder, don't forget, anyone out there who's looking to purchase a drum to do some drum work, shamanic healing work, do get in touch with me. I've now become a drum maker. This is a nice little drum that I made the other day, just getting ready to send out to somebody. Use the handle at the back. Just nice little sound to it, and it's a wooden frame there. Yeah, and that's a 15-inch. There's a smaller one for kiddies, and if you want to put one in your suitcase going travelling whenever that happens. Smaller version, that's a 12-inch. And I've also got, I go up to a 20-inch, which is kind of a ceremonial drum. This one is an 18-inch, it's about your standard Bowron size. And let's see with this one. Yeah, it's got a nice handle inside there as well, you see. So they're all available. Check out my website, www.dermotoharaonline.com, and you can get more information on the drums from that. Okay. Tina Roberts says good morning, Darren. Good morning to you, Tina. And Bernadette Mooney says good morning. Lovely stuff. Great to have so many of you in this morning. Okay, don't be afraid to put up questions, guys, about dreams, or even maybe a dream that you've had, and I'll be able to interpret it for you this morning. The more questions, the more information I can give out, because I'll just keep on talking here and telling stories and information about the drums, or not the drums, the dreams, drums and dreams. Yes, indeed, that was a workshop I done years ago. Dream weaving and drum journeying. Yeah. Anyways, yes, so I think we begin about now. Yes, numbers are coming up nicely. People are finding the lives, so I didn't want to start until I knew I had a good number in and that people were not going to miss the start, because but you'll probably hear me repeat the same stuff a couple of times through the talk, explaining how the whole process works. So we'll just turn off the background music for now. And you're very welcome to my humble abode here in Dublin West. Just in case you don't know, my name is Dermot O'Hara, and I'm a healer, teacher, and I suppose you call it a mindfulness master. Some people call me. I've been teaching mindfulness and meditation now for the last 30 years, and teaching all types of healing and sort of, self-help for people to self-heal themselves, to teach people how to take charge of their lives. And dreams are very much an important part of that in my work, because anyone who's worked with me will tell you that I always work with dreams, and what I intuitively sense as an empath. And being an intuitive empath since a child, I learned very quickly to shut it all off, because I couldn't handle the insensitivity of the world I was born into, and the disconnect. I always talk about the disconnect in my work, because the reality as I see it out there is a disconnected reality that's created by collective soul loss. So the whole journey, I believe, of coming here is to reclaim that part of ourselves that we lose in the early stages of our journey getting here, and after we arrive. And of course we have to deal with ancestral stuff, family stuff. All that stuff comes into play, and it all influences us, and also our history of our land and our people. And all that plays out in the process of learning to heal yourself, and to self-heal, and to self-develop, and to get the connection back, that self-love connect. Because the power is within all of us to access that. It's just that we have been disconnected from it. And in becoming disconnected, it gives, certain belief systems an advantage or a power over us to control us to stay in a place of fear. And we've had this for over 1600 years with the way spirituality was taught in this, I should say religion was presented to us in this country. 1600 years of disconnect from the goddess, from ourselves, and from the sacredness of the feminine aspect of ourselves, in men and in women. Women were how would you say, they were kind of put down by these beliefs, and were felt to be lesser than men, and hence the imbalance, the disconnect was created. The relationship was broken between the feminine and the masculine. The balance was lost, so the disconnect takes over. So in us as individuals, we have a masculine and a feminine side also. And we also have a left brain and a right brain, and a conscious mind and an unconscious mind. We have an emotional body, we have a physical body and a spiritual body. So all these aspects of us need to be brought into one place, and to a point of, I suppose, harmony. And it's trying to find out, where is that point in my life? Where is that place in my journey? Where do I find it? Where do I go and look for it? And the interesting thing is that it's within all of us, but up here there's so much complicated, disconnected information given to us, and it's been given to generations before us, and it's been passed down. It's become hereditary now that disconnect is the new normal. That word. So the thing is, what we need to realize that there's no such thing as normal. Each of us are individuals. We're different. We're meant to be different. We're not meant to fit in. Nobody is meant to fit into this world. We're all meant to be different. And when we don't fit in and we're all different, we create the connect. Because think about it this way. Imagine if you bought a 10,000 piece jigsaw and you opened it up and all the pieces were the same. You wouldn't be able to create the beautiful picture that was on the front of the box, could you? It's the same with us. Each of us is an individual. We're each a unique part of the divine that comes here to try to manifest heaven on earth. And that's the challenge for all of us. We know deep down inside we can do this, but we have all this other stuff that's stuck in the subconscious and conscious mind that's programmed into us and conditioned into us to separate from the source. So you see, even though we're individuals when we come here, we all come from the same place and we all go back to the same place. And the medicine woman said to me many, many years ago, the sweat ceremony, she says, many paths go the same place. And we're all on a different path going to the same place. We just don't know it yet. So the idea of coming into your own connect is about balance. A balance, we talk about it in holistic medicine, mind, body and soul being in balance and creating that harmony from within. So dreams come in to help us to plot out a course that will take us to our place of connect. And this process is something that I teach through the Celtic Wheel of Elimination, Bridget's Celtic Wheel of Elimination. It's a process of layers of change as we go around the medicine wheel each year, illuminating parts of ourselves that were before within the darkness. We're coming into spring now, it's growth time, and new parts of us want to come out and grow. And the more they come out to grow, the more we need to go within and connect and to ground ourselves within the earth's energy. So dreams come in at night or during the day. You can even have them when you're asleep. Some people daydream, so I suppose it's similar. And what we need to understand is that the concept of the dream state, and we need to realize that when we sit, for example, and we meditate, or we sit and we play a drum, and the drum has the ability to shift our brainwaves into the same state where we dream. So it's an awakened dream state. So weaving dreams is like a journey or a guided meditation, going into a place, and all of a sudden, you know, it happens a lot in my classes. I'm teaching people and they say, oh, I didn't go where you were saying tonight. I was taken somewhere else. And I says, wonderful. That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for people to go on their own unique individual journey. It's not about me, forming and programming people to do things my way, because my way is not your way. Everyone's way is different. But the scary thing is that nobody has gone your way before. So there's no actual plan. There's no map. However, there are dreams. And the dreams can help you to map your unique path in this reality, because this is just one of a few realities we exist in at the same time. So when you're in a dream asleep and you're in the dream, you're in that reality. And I've often worked with people and they wake up from a dream and they tell me, oh, I was so frightened in the dream and the fear came back. I was just as distressed when I came back into the room and it stayed with me. And I was very disturbed for the whole of the day. And I'd say to them, okay, there's something you're not listening to. And they say, what do you mean? Well, there's obviously something in this dream that's been coming to you for quite some time and you're not addressing the issue. So how it works is this. The first time we get a dream with information that's important in it, it's written in a nice letter to us, a nice dream. And if we don't take it on board, the second one they write to us, and I'm talking about your higher self guiding you, because we are our own higher self. We are the divine. This is what we have to wake up to, that we are all powerful. We have the power to create the reality that we experience. You hear it coming in from America all the time, the power of manifestation and money and cars and success. It's not about that at all. It's about finding your unique path. That's what manifestation, and manifesting peace of mind, heart and body. It's that simple. And all the other stuff, if it comes in, fine. If it doesn't come in, it don't matter, because already you have something that's priceless. You cannot buy peace of mind. So getting back to the whole way of mapping and working with the dreams is that, you know, I was explaining there about the way dreams come in and they get stronger and stronger, and then they start to turn into little nightmares, and then they become big nightmares. So as I say, the letter comes first, and then you're walking down the road in a dream and someone hits you with a bicycle in the dream and you wake up and, oh my God. And then you still don't address the issue. And then a little bit further down the road, another dream, you get hit by a car. and you still don't address the issue. So a while later you go in, you have another dream, and you're hit by a juggernaut. And that's when you wake up and you're shaking and you're, oh my God. This is telling you that you're not on your path. And it's, how do I find my path? Well, how you find your path is how you find your inner balance. They're one and the same thing. And I only teach this stuff because it worked for me. And I remember many years ago going and studying with a guy, a lovely man called Pat Wright, in the Complementary Healing Centre in Terranure, and he was teaching dream interpretation. And I sat in on one of the classes at the start. I wanted to do the whole course, but something came up and I couldn't finish it. And he said to me afterwards, he says, you don't need to. He says, you were doing all the dreams for the people in the room the other night, and you blew them away with it. I said, did I really? Oh, because I already had the connect, and I could see people's disconnect. So in the dreams, I could see the disconnect, and what I could do is I could identify it for them. Now, if you can imagine that many people go for readings, to have psychic readings done, and to get information about their future and what's going on at the moment, etc., to get guidance. So dreams work the same way. And how they work is this. On each card, there's a symbol, there's an image. And the subconscious mind, the dream state part of us that's trying to communicate with us, doesn't speak in English, or Squelge, Deutsch, or any other language. So what we have to realize is that the subconscious mind communicates with us through imagery. Okay, and that's the language of dreams. It's imagery, it's symbols. I'm wearing a symbol here today. It's Bridget's Celtic Grove of Illumination symbol, and I have it also on my little pendant that I wear here. And the idea is that that image was channeled to me in a dream after a Goddess Spirit Rising Festival I was invited to in California about 7 years ago. It was the first one, and I was the first male to be invited to it, to present there, to present Bridget's Flame. But the imagery that came in from a dream after being at that festival was this. And I took the imagery and I drew it, and I brought the symbol in from Spirit to use to represent Bridget, the goddess, to manifest. Get it? To manifest. Now, the imagery that comes to each of us is unique and individual because we're all different. And for me, finding my uniqueness, finding my individuality, and learning to be comfortable with not fitting in, with not being accepted, and with not being normal was my journey. And that's the same for all of us. You know, as I said, you know, there's a lovely post a while back up on Facebook, you know, it said, all my life I wanted to fit in. I'm a lot older and wiser now. I'm so glad I never did achieve that. And it's about learning to sit with yourself and to be comfortable with yourself and to know that you're never alone, that there's a light within all of us. Speaking of light there, bring that in there. There's a light within all of us. There's a divine light. There's a divine spark within each of us. And when we come here, our job is to manifest it and to spread it out and to support others who have come here as well to do the same, to raise the vibrations. So it starts with us as individuals. And the amazing thing is that you don't have to go out to start doing healing on people. Simply you hold that space within your heart and your mind and within your reality. And without doing anything, that vibration is going out and it's supporting hundreds of thousands and even millions of other people who are on the same journey. So it's about collectively raising the vibrations. So how do we do it as individuals? Well, as I was explaining about the imagery of a card in a reading is the same as the imagery in a dream, except the images and the symbols that you use that come through your subconscious mind into your dream state, downloaded from your higher self, which is your guidance, are unique to you. They're your symbols. And each of those symbols within the dream are uniquely yours. Whereas when you go and there's cards, the same symbols can turn up for 5 or 6 different people, but not in a dream. A dream is unique and individual to you. So, this is what makes it so powerful, because this takes you straight to the core of your issue. In other words, what am I doing at this moment in time that I cannot see that is creating disconnect within me? What is making me feel unhappy? What is making me feel off balance? What is stressing me? What is having me feeling ill? Why am I worried about this? Why am I anxious about that? All of these answers are in the dream. Because at the end of the day, when you get right down to it, the common denominator is disconnect. You're not connecting to the source of the support that's around you. But you don't know this because you're operating here with a programming and a conditioning that's been around you and around your family for generations. And in this country, we had it pumped into us for 1600 years, this disconnect from the land, from the ancient spiritual beliefs of our people. So when you realize that within the collective of a land that you're born into, that there's a collective disconnect, I call it national soul loss. So this soul loss or disconnect is something that we cannot do in one massive sweep and change everybody. It becomes each individual's job to find their place of peace within themselves. And they ought to say, may peace prevail on earth for all. And it's about bringing the light more in. The thing is, when we bring the light in, we bring in an openness, we bring in a vulnerability, we bring in a gentleness, we bring in a sense of love and warmth for our fellow human beings and for all the creatures upon Mother Earth and in the earth. So the thing is that when the dreams come to you and the imagery is presented to you, there's many different books out there on dream interpretation, but there's one that I really, really like because it's not what we call one where, you know, it's based on accumulating wealth or money. It's more about the spiritual nurture of dreams, and it's from a lovely lady called Denise Lynn, and it's called Pocket Full of Dreams. So if you can check that one out, Pocket Full of Dreams, I think it's still in print. I got it about 20 years ago and I found it very, very helpful in my guidance. So the dreams do produce for us answers. They also produce and give us guidance as well. And the idea is to learn how to recall the dreams. Everybody dreams every night. We go through 4 stages of sleep every night, and on the 4th stage we go into the dream state. We come back and we can visit that space anything up to 15, 20 times a night. The cycle goes around. Yeah. So light sleep, deep sleep, into REM and into dream and back out again. So the thing is that we all dream. It depends on the level of disconnect that you're dealing with as to how well you recall the dreams the following morning. Because if you're like me back in my 20s, you know, as soon as the alarm clock went off in the morning, which I don't use anymore, stopped that many years and stopped wearing a watch as well. But the thing is, when the alarm clock, I was up and I was jumping into my trousers and before I was even, you know, halfway down the stairs, my spirit was still coming in from the dream state back into my body, and I was already halfway down the stairs, running down, grabbing a cup of tea and out the door and jumping into my van and off to work. No time. I wasn't even in my body properly, getting up and getting out of bed. I didn't give myself a couple of minutes to come in, to connect and be connected for the day. I was jumping into the disconnect, and of course back then I suffered with constant anxiety and panic attacks, and at times dark, deep depressions. But that was normal. That was the normal disconnect that I grew up in. Being an empath, being hypersensitive, I learned to disconnect at a very early age to survive the disconnect of the reality that I came into. These days I carry the connection, and that disconnected reality doesn't exist in my world. I hold and walk in a place of what I would call inner stillness most of the time. And there's times when I get excited about things and passionate about things, and I will get up a bit, and or maybe even upset sometimes. But the thing is, I always come back into center. You know, it's like the tree; it can bend with the wind. It always comes back to center. To be flexible and to bend. So let's see what questions we've got coming in so far this morning. Diana Mary McGarry says, what about insights gotten when journeying? The messages there similar to messages of dreams. Exactly, that's what I was saying, that the imagery, the awakened dream state of using meditation and working with a drum, all of those bring in the same imagery that you will get in a dream because you're accessing the same place, awakened dream state. Whereas when you go into sleep state, it accesses you. So you can consciously go in. And here's the interesting thing about working in the imagery. If you get a dream that disrupts you and disturbs you, there's some very important information in that dream. And what you can do is when you wake up, if you're good at meditation, you can sit and meditate and you can recreate the dream and go back into it. And what you do is you renegotiate the situation and make yourself a winner. So you can go back in with A drum as well. You can journey back in with the drum and just play the drum. And the thing about the drum is the drum alters your brainwaves. Alters your brainwaves. It convinces your brain that you're asleep, but you're awake. And this gives you the advantage where you can go in it and you can actually prepare yourself. Let's say, for example, I had a situation one time in a dream, and I was walking down the street and I turned left, and it was daytime, and I turned left into this other street, and the next thing everything went completely black. I stopped there and couldn't move. So it disrupted me because I got disturbed for a second. And this would relate to when I was a child being afraid of the dark, fear being fed into me. So what did I do? I woke up that morning and wow. So I decided, okay, I need to go in and I need to change this dream, because this is something from my past. Because when you turn left in a dream, it's the past. When you turn right, it's the future, and ahead is future. So what you got to realize, and behind, of course, is past too. So I turned around, went back into the dream, and this time I went in prepared to deal with the darkness. And what I did was I brought in a shield and a beautiful golden sword, like a flame. And what I did was I walked up to the street knowing I was going to turn out, and I knew that this darkness was going to be there. This darkness represented some aspect of my fear, my disconnect. So what did I do? I turned around and I saw that the darkness, I just took sort of like, and the whole street lit up immediately. And then I walked through the street. So it's like rites of passage, overcoming a fear, bringing back a part of me that was lost in that darkness. I got it back. And when I came back out of that dream, I went, wow. I could feel, even now as I'm talking about it, I can feel the energy starting to just move through my body in a very, how I call it, charged up way. It was just, wow, that was powerful. That's ritual. So what you can do is, if you find that there's something scaring or something is chasing you in a dream, well, what you can do is you can go back into the dream later on, bring in whatever you need, a shield, a spear, a sword, a rifle, a gun, a machine gun, whatever you need, that whatever makes you feel safe, bring it in with you. Preferably stuff like, shields and swords and stuff. They're kind of nice symbols to work. Guns and stuff that are a bit violent. So I prefer to work with something that's a little bit more kind of, I suppose, ancient in its craft. And to bring that in, and then because you can draw the sword out, as you can draw the shields and stuff, and there's a kind of a mysticism in all of that going back to another time when a lot more of this awareness was readily available to people. So that's how you can work it. And yes, Donna, very much so. Imagery in dreams, imagery in journey work, same thing, coming from the same source. The problem is that when we're asleep, sometimes we don't get good sleep. Why? Again, because of the disconnect. So if you can imagine you're going in with all this disconnected, repressed energy in your body that you're afraid to let go of, and you're holding onto it with fear. When you lie down at night to relax and let go, this stuff wants to release. And we're pushing it down, it's coming up, pushing down. Then people start drinking alcohol and eating loads of stuff before going to bed, trying to comfort themselves before they can go to sleep. And then the brain can't stop. They lie on the bed and the brain's going, why? Because all this stuff is coming up and they're pushing it down, up and down, up and down. So people go and they get medication and stuff for sleeping, and that's when the real problems start. So the idea is to get underneath the issue and find out what the cause is, and then to be able to gently work with it over time. And that example of going into the darkened street and lifting the darkness was just one example of many different journeys that I was brought on through dreams to confront different aspects of my disconnect that were controlling it and my life. Bernadette Mooney says, dream, just remember them. For one, fire blew out a fireplace but was not afraid. Okay, well the fireplace and heart, the heart of the home, the heart of the fire is to do with your own heart. Okay, and let's move on. What does he say? But not afraid. The fire was not destructive. Two, next night I was sending an envelope into the light. Oh. And then three, last night was a filing room sorting out files. Positive was get fire passion in your belly. Send important email related manifesting my dream and filing system. Haven't worked it out yet. Well, priority filing systems and lists and setting goals is all about, you need to write them down. If they're up here and you're thinking about them, they disappear. Get a sheet of paper. This is why a dream journal is very important, very powerful. That if you can begin to write down and see there Bernd has written down 3 different dreams, and you'll find that there's a theme running to them. The first one is to do with heart and fire and passion, and very powerful. And the second one there you mentioned was the next night I was sending envelopes into the light. Okay, sending messages out, envelopes to do with communicating with spirit and bringing something into the physical. So this is very much to do with spirit communication, but it's coming from the heart. And very often when we try to open up these channels, the first thing we find is that there's something blocking the heart within us first. Before I came into this work, I had to spend 10 years of going into my own darkness before I could come out and hold space for other people. You know, I couldn't do it before that. And then the following 30 years, which I'm up to 30 years now doing it, I've been holding space for people, but constantly learning and growing myself and learning my craft as I go through my life. So it's the same for you, Bernd, that the filing system is about having a process. In other words, I often tell people, goal setting. At the start of the year, set out 10 things that you'd like to do. And as each one is achieved, you tick it off the list and you put another 2 in. So you always have 10 you're working on. So there's a constant process. So once you're doing that, your higher self can work on those goals. But if they're all floating around up here in the air, it's not going to happen. You need to put them on the ground. And it's very much about paying attention to detail. And that's one of the things I think that Meredith is saying about the dream. You know, you need to put things in order, filing, put things in order, prioritize. You know, creative people like myself, we find that, you know, there's so many different things, strings to my bow, and it's very difficult to focus on one and to develop it because there's so many around me all at the same time. But you do have to try and prioritize time each day to each part of your craft and each part of your skills and abilities to develop them. It's the same with goals. If you want to achieve a goal, you need to write them down and then focus on them. Excuse me. I'm just going to grab my glass of water here. Give me 1 second, guys. Yeah, so you need to focus on them. So how you do this, you write them down. Once you write them down, they're coming into the physical. And then, in other words, they're coming from the imagination, from the creative side of yourself, from almost the same place as the dreams come from. It's your intuition. It's higher self coming in. Physically write it down. Once you write it down, then your conscious mind engages in it, so you'll have a connect. It then manifests. That's how it works. However, in order to manifest it, you must be grounded. And to be grounded, you need to be connected to the earth. You need to be fully in. Now, the journey of achieving these goals and these desires are all part of your journey of learning, because each of them will challenge you to change things about yourself. And as you do that, you grow. And that's your path, that's your journey. So a lot of us are given skills and gifts that we come in with, and our journey through life is to find them and to bring them out and to manifest them. And that brings us the greatest happiness that we can ever find, because it's unique to you. It's your way. And there's no wrong way. There's simply your way. Once you find the path through the dreams and learn how to plot your path with the dreams and the dream imagery, you'll find yourself finding your path a lot easier. Let's see what other questions are coming in here and comments, okay? Oh, there's loads. Let me see now. I've got a touch screen here and it has me jumping all over the place. Here we go, yeah. Just get back to the first one. Okay. Yeah, I covered that one with Donna about the insights from the journeying. Yeah. Karen, she says, your early years description, I totally identify with. Wonderful to see how we've grown, evolved, etc. and continue to. Absolutely, Karen. You see, life is an adventure, and you know, I'm 64 now, nearly 65, and I'm still only on my journey of growing and learning and evolving, and I'm so excited and so uplifted and energized every day about my life that I don't have time to think about being old or anything like that, because I'm constantly challenging myself to find and develop new aspects of myself and to bring them forward. And even doing these lives for me last year was a huge challenge, to go live on Facebook on the 11th of March last year as lockdown came in. And I came home, I was semi-retired from this work back then, and I sat down on the sofa here after being down in the shopping centre and all the chaos. It was bedlam, and I was really concerned about the people in the area and in the country, the way things were at that time. There was massive panic. Shops were being stripped of food and everything. It was just chaos. So I sat here and I said to myself, okay, I need to do something here. And then the next thing, the guidance came in, go live on Facebook. Oh no, I says, I can't do that. You know, this again was a part of me that needed to come out. So I said, no, go live. I said, no, I'm not doing that. You have to. No, I'm not. So in the end, I went on the first night and done a little presentation for people, just a mindfulness thing to calm people down and to ground people, bring people back in to connect. And what happened? I ended up for 60 nights consecutively presenting on Facebook every single night. And then after about 10 nights through, we decided to do midday mindfulness, and that ran through the whole of the 60 days as well, and some of it is still going. So it brought out some other part of me, and there's a part of me which is the storyteller, and in the stories and in the telling of the stories, I bring people and try to give them some imagery through my stories. So when I tell you a story, you create the imagery. I don't. I just create the story. Then the imagery that you get in your mind. It's like back in the day when I was a kid and I would listen to the Kennedys at Castle Ross on the radio at lunchtime every day. TV was only new at that stage, and the TV didn't go on till late at night. I think back then we didn't even have a TV. I think we got our TV in '64. But the thing was that before that it was all radio. So you had to sit and you had to create the pictures within your own mind. And this is the art and the craft of sacred imagery. So when we listen to a storyteller or to a story on the radio, we created the sacred imagery within our own psyche, and we were taken on a journey. Storytellers have been doing this for thousands of years, sitting around the fire. And sitting around the fire in the mornings, sharing dreams with each other in the village. Because the priority of the old village was the crop, the harvest, to survive the winter. That was it. There was nothing else involved. There was no economy, no world this, no world that. It was all about the protection and the survival of the village and the people. The protection of the crop and the harvest, and making sure that we got it in, that we could get through the winter. That's the connect, the basics. And and when you look at what we've done to the planet, we have disconnected even from the planet. We now think that all our food comes from the shops. It's all processed stuff, and of course it doesn't do us any good. But anyway, getting back on track with the dreams. Sacred imagery, dream interpretation, storytelling, the images that you see and are invoked from the stories, even as I'm talking to you today. It's creating imagery within your mind. So afterwards, draw a few pictures, make a few notes, even do it while I'm talking now, and realize that those images, when you draw them and when you write the stuff down and you read it back to yourself, it reinforces the healing of your disconnect. It strengthens it. It brings you into your power. We are all powerful. And that's what we're afraid of. Because with power comes great responsibility. Because we have collectively created the reality we are currently experiencing. Full stop. We are all responsible for it. And because so many people are in disconnect, we're having to experience a constant reminder within the reality of experience of disconnect. So we need to create a reality that supports connect with the light and with sacred image. So it begins with the connect with yourself. Using the imagery from the dreams, it brings you into that connect. And then, it's to find like-minded souls who will collectively support you in that connect as well, okay? Okay, let's see what other questions we've got coming in, guys and girls. Sarah Victoria Leopard says, could you do that for an old dream, not one that's immediate? Yes, of course, yeah. Dreams don't go out of fashion, or there's not a sell-by date on them. I'll tell you one funny story. A lady came to me many, many years ago with her daughter, and they'd done my meditation classes. Back in the 90s, I was teaching a form of dream interpretation and affirmations and meditation altogether. So you could call it, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, or mindfulness, whatever you want to call it. But I was doing it 30 years ago. And this lady came with her daughter, and they'd done the classes with the beginners, with the intermediate, and we had advanced. They'd done all of them, and then they went away. And about 2 years later, they came back, And in between that, I used to do dream workshops as well and have a dream group. And they came back some years later anyway, and they sat in the classes with me again. And the mother gave me a dream, and I interpreted the dream. And lo and behold, when I was finished, the daughter turned around and said, "Hold on a minute, Dermot. My mum gave you the same dream years ago, last time we were here, and you told her exactly the same thing." I says, "Well, there you go. She obviously didn't listen the first time." So the mum came, done some work with me, completed the work, and her whole life completely transformed. And the daughter still talks to me about it today, you know. And it's I can go further into it, but basically what was going on was there was an issue for this person to deal with. They couldn't see it. When I gave them the message the first time, it just didn't sink in. But if they'd written it down, brought it home, and left it there, and read over it a couple of times, it would have brought it to the surface. Then they would have come at that time and completed the work to heal the disconnect. But instead, they stayed in the disconnect. So then when they came back a year or two later, done the same work again, same dream, not same dream, it was a different dream, by the way, but with the same interpretation. I didn't know that, but they did. And that just proves it that dreams don't go off. Dreams tend to come in cycles. They tend to come in cycles, and it's about your progression. If you don't progress, the dreams keep coming back. It's like something having a recurring nightmare. Same thing, knock, 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 wake up, Dermot, come on, move. You know, if you don't move, they give you a push, then they give you a kick, you know. So, okay, so I hope that helps, Sarah. Donna McGarl says, "Love the idea of how we can go back to the dream through drumming and meditation." Yes, and it's to change the outcome. Because when you go back, you take your power back from whatever imagery was in the dream that was causing you fear. And that also impacts on your life outside of you. Your reality outside of you changes as well, because you're no longer controlled by this unconscious fear. Because remember, when you wake up from a nightmare and you're disturbed, that's your fear. That's your fear. That's not you. That's something that was put into you. We are not fear. We are love. But when we're programmed with a fear-based reality that's anchored in fear, well, then we go into disconnect. And when you're in disconnect, you can be very easily influenced, manipulated, and controlled. And the rest is history. So, I got that one yet. Could the filing system be past information already stored inside you or the past? Well, sorting out files, yes, filing old information and into the past, but putting things in order, sorting out your house, so to speak. And the thing is, with a filing system, you can go in easily and access something. So there's an order to things. So it's about recording and keeping stuff in a dream journal so you can refer to it again and again and constantly reinforce the work that you're doing that was originally initiated by your dream work. And to constantly reinforce that, connect with yourself, supports you to grow spiritually and physically and in happiness in many different ways. And it can bring great success to you as well, because it'll bring out the skills that you've got and get you to develop them further to become quite successful in life as well. So it can be used in many different ways. Donna says, "Thank you for the reminder of the value of practice." Yeah, practice makes perfect, but we're not trying to be perfect because we are imperfect beings in an imperfect world, and that's okay. Sarah Victoria Leopard says, I was so grateful for the Facebook Lives ever since the beginning. Thanks for that, Sarah. Glad you enjoyed them. Melinda Flynn is in, says, "Dermot, you were a wonderful inspiration and guidance. Keep up the great work." Thanks, Melinda. Bernard Moon says, "Does that mean not aware, remembering dreams that you are totally disconnected?" Does that mean? Not remembering the dreams is to do with it. The disconnect is that you're stressed. Very often when I'm working with people, if they say they come for their first session, I do a session with them and they go away, I send them away, then okay, start recording your dreams. They say, "But I don't dream." I says, "Well, let's see how it goes." They will dream either that night, or some people will come on the morning of a session and they will have had their first dream that they can remember in a long time the night before the session. So you see, it's about bringing people back into the connecting with the source of truth. The dream connect is the source of truth. It's your higher self communicating with you a very important message. So it's like you get a letter in the letterbox and just leave it on the table from a very close friend, and you never open it. That's what an uninterpreted dream is like. Valuable information. Okay. It doesn't mean that you're totally disconnected, burned out when you don't remember the dream. It's just that there's a disconnect there. There's an imbalance. It's not. You know, to be connected is to be mind, body, and soul in balance. But as I said a minute ago, we're not perfect. We're human beings. We're imperfect. We're spiritual beings, come from perfection into the imperfect reality of the human reality. So we're imperfect within these bodies, and we struggle to bring our perfection in because we know what we can achieve here, and a lot of people can get very frustrated and angry about that. So coming into your own reality of manifesting your true uniqueness and your true individuality is where the dreams come in to show you this. They show you how you can achieve this. So it's kind of like a rites of passage of embracing aspects of yourself that you're afraid of, and that's what comes up in the dreams. You also get all sorts of very positive things will come in the dreams, different qualities and skills that you possess that you can develop. And the idea is that you need to focus on those areas and bring them out more from within yourself. And when you do that, you start to become unique. You start to become different, and you start to become more comfortable with yourself. So that's about as much as I can cover on the dreams today, guys. And thank you all so very much for joining me. Don't forget, if you're looking for anyone out there looking for a drum, I'm now now a drum maker. This is my 18-inch drum. There's also a 15 and a 12-inch, and there's also a 22-inch available. So check them out on my website. I'll put the link up to the website here on the stream, and you can check it out. And there's also more information on workshops and other things that I'm doing virtually online. So if you want to check them out as well, that would be great. DermotO'HaraOnline.com is the website. Okay, and you get more information there. Any more questions, guys? Just pop them in there now, and I'll cover them as best I can for you. Donna Mariam goes, I wish I'd found you online last year. These are so valuable. You were led to heal. I had no choice with the matter of healing, Donna. I was very deeply, darkly depressed, and I was at self-destruct point with suicide ideation and a couple of attempts. So it was either get into this craft or die. As I said, this is a unique part of who I am, and if I hadn't done that, I'd still be sick, and I would still be in the disconnect. So it's been a journey, and I'm still on it. And it's all about being uniquely embracing my uniqueness and working in the most open way that I can to support others. As I say, when I like the life, say, work through me to help others. And that's what I do. And yeah, so I'm glad it's helping people. And that's what it's all about. Giving is receiving, and it's part of the whole concept, you know. But as I said before, dreams bring in all the positive aspects as well, about things that you possess that you're not aware of, that you need to bring out more. So it's like having your own personal life coach. Melinda Flynn says, Dermot, you're a wonderful inspiration and guidance. Keep up the great work. I think I've covered that already. Thanks, Melinda. Just gone down to Sarah Victoria Leopard does. Thank you. Thanks, Sarah. No, it's as I said earlier, Brian, you know, about the connect and the disconnect and the dreams. Yeah, the dreams won't come in when the disconnect is extreme. But the thing is that we don't even know we're disconnected. It's normal. The majority of people are in disconnect. That's why the world is the way it is today. So it just means that there's high stress levels, and there's stuff that we're carrying that we haven't resolved, and it's causing disruption within our balance. And it's about bringing things back into balance. Connection is balance. You see, that's what it's all about. Mind, body, and soul in balance. You're very welcome, Sarah. Thanks, Donna. Thank you, says Tina. Sumta Hessius, popped in late. We'll get replay. Thank you so much for your wisdom. Blessings to all. You're very welcome. Sarah that was from, who was that from? That was from Sumta Hessian. Sarah Victoria Leopard says, thank you so much, Darren. I would never have found my way to you except for lockdown and online lives. Well, it all happens for a reason, doesn't it? Synchronicity and stuff. So, yeah, so with that, guys, I'm going to close for today. And don't forget, I'm back on again today at 2:30. And I'll be talking, it'll be connected to what we're doing now about connect and disconnect. National Ancestral Family Healing Day. I'll be talking about intergenerational healing. Okay, you know, you can go through the family tree, but there's also the intergenerational stuff within communities and within cultures. And then at 7 o'clock, healing through the chakras. This is going to be a guided visualization and healing workshop. That's on at 7. And don't forget, if you want to do sessions with me, I'm available online. All the information is on my website. You can message me through my Facebook page. And please do like Bridget's Celtic Grove of Illumination page. I've been promoting Bridget for the last 30 years as part of my work to raise the awareness about the goddess and the sacred feminine for all of that time. And you can also download CDs from my website as well. Yeah, there's meditation CDs, there's shamanic drumming CDs as well there. And once again, the drums, new venture for me since lockdown. Started my own cottage industry. I've started off making drums here. And yeah, keeping my hands busy. So Sunday is Celtic Goddess Flame of Illumination talk at 12:30. 3 o'clock is Chuck Alice, the Celtic Sweat Lodge ceremony, okay? And then the workshop is at 7 o'clock. And don't forget, tomorrow night, 8:30, we have the Hands Around Mother Earth Full Moon Water Healing Ceremony that we've been doing for years now, live online, long before lockdown started. We've been doing it for years. So do try and join me for some of those things later today or tomorrow. And thanks for your time and have a blessed day. Brightest blessings of Bridget's illuminating flame to all of you. Have a lovely day. Shalom. Good morning.